Alrighty, well, it's time to talk about 10 more movies, and these 10 more movies are the best DC movies. 10 of them, in my opinion, of course. Let's get right into it. With our runner-up, I gotta go with The Dark Knight Returns, Part 1 and 2. It's an animated movie. It's the only animated feature I have on this list because I wanted to stick to live action, but it's probably my favorite and probably one of the best animated, cartoon, whatever you want to call it, DC movie they have out there. Honestly, I enjoyed Under the Red Hood, The Killing Joke. I mean, they're so close to the comics. That's why they're so fun to watch. So yeah, but getting right into it. Number 10 is Wonder Woman. Yes, 2017's Wonder Woman was kind of refreshing to see. I mean, it was empowering, of course, but it was also really entertaining, especially set in World War One. It was a nice story. It was extremely fun to see Diana come to the world and just have to interact with it, much like the comics and cartoons. And so yeah, that's why it was just all in all very entertaining for me. Number 9. Now this one might be controversial. Some could say, why is it on the list? Why is it so low on the list? Why is it not number 1? And that is Man of Steel. Yes, I really enjoyed Man of Steel. There's a lot of good things I like about it. Primarily the whole fish out of water thing, that's kind of been what Superman's been, and I like Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, and I like that we explored all these different ideas of what it's like for Clark Kent to be on Earth. And the score is phenomenal. That's the last thing I'll say about that movie. Which brings us to number 8, Shazam. Now the thing about Shazam is I kind of thought it was like a filler in my eyes because Shazam came out a week or 2 weeks before Avengers Endgame. I was still excited to see it, but it was just one of those things where I was like, well, in prep for Avengers Endgame, let's go see Shazam. Shazam looked fun, and guess what? It was really fun. It was a lot more fun than I expected it to ever be. Nice little story, likable characters, fun action sequences, and I really like the director, David F. Sandberg, and I'm excited for Shazam 2 for the most part. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Which brings us to number 7, Batman vs. Superman, the Ultimate Edition. Now, the theatrical cut was not great. I can see why people didn't like it. I can see why people can consider it a bomb, but it made decent money, right? The Ultimate Edition just kind of was a little peek behind the curtain of Warner Brothers. It's like, why would you cut all this? Like, part of it I understand, like, what is it, like 3 hours long or something like that? But at the same time, it's like, why just why would you eventually send this edit out instead of include some of the Ultimate Edition in the theatrical cut? I don't quite get it. But all things considered, Batman vs. Superman, I find it really enjoyable to watch. The best parts of it, I think, are this whole idea of, the idea that is expanded upon in this one with Superman in our world. How are we going to deal with it? And yeah, dealing with Bruce's own morality, I guess. So yeah, Batman vs. Superman. I enjoy it. I think it's a good movie. Which brings us to number 6, Joker. Yeah, Joker. I've only seen it twice. It's a hard watch. But every time I watch it, I was like, wow. There's just a lot going on, and I'm really excited for the second one. And yeah, I just remember seeing the first one about 2-3 weeks after 2-3 weeks after it opened, and I was just curious because I'd heard so many different things about it, and I had to see it. So, which brings us to number 5, The Suicide Squad. Now, I think James Gunn is a good filmmaker. I really enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. They're probably some of my favorite MCU movies. So I was generally curious what he was going to do with DC characters and with an R rating. Well, we saw. It was funny. There was some serious stuff. Cinematography was phenomenal. And it just felt different. It felt like a very, very different DC movie. And yeah, it was. I initially seen the trailers, I was like, wow, this is going to be different. And it was. And you know what? I'm very anxious and curious to see what it does with the DC universe moving forward. DC Slate is out. You can go check it out. Make up your own mind. I think it's okay. We'll just have to see. Which brings us to number 4, a Christopher Nolan film. Yes, The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I love IMAX sequences. I love the score. I love all the characters. And I especially love Tom Hardy as Bane. So yeah, what more can I say that hasn't already been said? I just think it's really fun. I think it's a really entertaining watch, and especially all the different things with, Bruce Wayne having to rise out of the pit. I've even quoted this line from The Dark Knight Rises. It's in Custer Guns and Money Part 3, yeah. It's the very beginning where my character says to Vin, "I thought I killed you, I thought you were dead, I thought I shot you." And Vin just says, "Sometimes the pit sends something back." And, yeah, that's ripped straight out of The Dark Knight Rises, so near and dear to my heart. Which brings us to number 3, The Batman. Yeah, I saw The Batman in theaters 3 times, which may not be a lot compared to some other people, but I saw it the opening night, like the Thursday premiere, with a bunch of friends. We all thought it was phenomenal, and then there was like a weekend or 2 after that. We were just like, hey, let's go see Batman again. Let's go see the Saturday or Sunday matinee, whatever day it was. And again, we left that theater and we're just like, yeah, I like this movie a lot more than I liked it the first time, because we're able to pick up on things, and we can kind of make up our minds. And then I saw it again a week or 2 after on spring break with my dad. I still like it. And then I bought it on Blu-ray. I've seen it several more times. I just really like that. The score is phenomenal. It should have been awarded, or should have been nominated for an Oscar for the score, but what are you gonna do, right? And cinematography. The cinematography in this one is like no other. I don't know how to explain it. There's probably a video about there somewhere. And you know what? I even have 4 different The Batman posters. I was able to get them from my local theater, which is fantastic. Which shows you why I think it's a top 3 DC movie ever made. Moving on to number 2, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yes. Let me tell you something. Those 4 hours go by really, really quick, which is not easy to do. But if you know anything about it, which maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, go look into it. It's a really interesting story. It still baffles me that DC executives were like, or Warner Brothers executives were like, nope, this is trash. Let's make 2017's Justice League, which was a hot dumpster fire, steaming pile of just garbage. It was awful, which is why this one is so much better, and probably one of the better DC movies ever made. The characters are more fleshed out, the action sequences are phenomenal, all these ideas and concepts are put together very well. We get Darkseid, like, come on. And especially that ending scene of Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's probably, it's my favorite DC movie moment ever. It even got that Oscar thing, which was cool, I guess. But people waited for it and they finally got it. And if that's the end of the Snyderverse, then so be it. It was really, really good. We are being brought to the number 1 best DC movie, which, if you haven't already guessed it, it's The Dark Knight. Like I said, what more needs to be said about it that hasn't been said already? Every performance is phenomenal. The story, the plot, the characters, the cinematography, the score, the colors, the everything. I could just go on and on about this. I've seen this movie a couple dozen times probably. And even after that, you're still watching it. You're just like, I picked up on something that I probably hadn't picked up on before. It's got that quality to it. And like, what do I have to say about Heath Ledger? Like, just a phenomenal performance. I don't think I have to say much more about that. I think everybody knows how good that was and how iconic it'll always be. And I just don't see any Joker really doing what he was able to do. I'm glad that we have these, I think it's interesting that we have these different Jokers that can do something different, but in the end, it's always going to be Heath Ledger. And it's another Nolan movie. Nolan knows how to make movies. Nolan also knows how to use IMAX. And IMAX on, like, your TV, your big screen TV on Blu-ray 4K, crisp, very pleasing to the eyes. So yeah, those are what I think are the top 10 best DC movies. You like DC? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I've always liked DC. I like reading the comics. Of course, I like watching the movies. So yeah, that'll be it for today. And don't you worry, MCU fans, your top 10 is coming up. So, with that being said, thank you for watching.